Have you ever heard a story so chilling, so baffling, that it stays with you long after you've finished listening? Today, we re-delving into one of America's most infamous and enduring unsolved mysteries. The Villisca Axe Murders. This isn't just a ghost story. It's a true crime case that has puzzled investigators and haunted the public for over a century. So, dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's travel back in time to a small town in Iowa, where an entire community was changed forever by one single, horrifying night. Our story begins in Villisca, Iowa, a seemingly idyllic and peaceful town in the early 20th century. With a population of around 2,000 people, it was the kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors. Doors were often left unlocked, and life moved at a gentle, predictable pace. In the heart of this community lived the Moore family. Josiah Moore, a successful and well-respected businessman, his wife Sarah, and their 4 young children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. They were a picture-perfect family, deeply involved in their local church and community activities. On the evening of June 9th, 1912, the Moores attended the Children's Day program at their Presbyterian church. Sarah had organized the event, and all the Moore children participated. It was a joyful, celebratory evening. After the program, the Moores invited 2 young friends of their daughter Catherine to spend the night. Their names were Lena and Aina Stillinger, sisters who were just 8 and 12 years old. Together, the group of 8, Josiah, Sarah, their 4 children, and the 2 Stillinger girls walked home, their laughter likely echoing through the quiet streets of Villisca. They entered their modest white house on East 2nd Street, unaware that they would never walk out again. The next morning, June 10th, a neighbor named Mary Peckham noticed something was wrong. The Moore house was unusually quiet. The curtains were still drawn, which was odd for a family that were known to be early risers. After her repeated knocks went unanswered, she grew concerned and called Josiah's brother, Ross Moore. Ross arrived, and after failing to get a response, he used his own key to enter the house. What he discovered inside would unleash a wave of terror that Villisca would never recover from. In the downstairs bedroom, he found the bodies of the 2 visiting girls, Lena and Ina. Still horrified, he immediately backed out and told Mary Peckham to call the sheriff. When law enforcement arrived and searched the rest of the house, the full scale of the atrocity was revealed. Upstairs, they found the rest of the Moore family, Josiah, Sarah, and their 4 children, all bludgeoned to death in their beds. An axe, which belonged to Josiah Moore and was found in the guest bedroom, had been used as the weapon. The crime scene was brutal and methodical, leaving no one alive. As investigators began to piece together the events of that night, a series of bizarre and unsettling details emerged, adding layers of mystery to an already incomprehensible crime. First, every mirror and pane of glass in the house had been covered with cloths and clothing. Why would the killer do this? Was it a ritual? A sign of remorse, unable to face their own reflection? Or something else entirely? Then there was the axe itself. It had been wiped clean, but not perfectly. It was left leaning against the wall in the downstairs bedroom where the Stillinger sisters were found. A kerosene lamp was also found at the foot of Josiah and Sarah's bed, its chimney removed and the wick bent back, suggesting the killer may have used it for light, but was careful to avoid starting a fire. Even stranger, a plate of uneaten food and a bowl of bloody water were discovered in the kitchen, indicating the killer may have stayed in the house for some time after the murders, perhaps washing their hands before leaving. The most baffling detail of all was how the killer entered and exited the house. All the doors were locked from the inside. There were no signs of forced entry. This led to the chilling theory that the perpetrator may have hidden in the house, perhaps in the small attic or a closet, waiting for the family to fall asleep. Or, perhaps, they were let in by someone they knew. After committing the murders, they would have locked the door from the inside and exited using their own key, or simply slipped out and pulled the door shut, which then locked behind them. The investigation that followed was, by modern standards, a complete disaster. In 1912, forensic science was in its infancy. The crime scene was almost immediately contaminated. Once word got out, hundreds of curious townspeople descended upon the house, walking through it, touching things, and inadvertently destroying crucial evidence. It's estimated that over 100 people traipsed through the house before the scene was properly secured. Fingerprinting was a new technology and wasn't handled correctly. The few potential fingerprints found were smudged and unusable. Despite the chaos, the investigation did produce several key suspects. One of the first was a man named Frank Jones, a prominent Villisca businessman and a state senator. Jones and Josiah Moore were fierce business rivals. Moore had worked for Jones 4 years before leaving to start his own, more successful farm implement company, taking significant business with him. Rumors swirled that Jones had hired a man named William Blackie Mansfield to carry out the murders. Mansfield was a suspected serial killer and hitman from Illinois, believed to be responsible for similar axe murders in other states. He was even arrested, but his alibi proving he was in Illinois at the time was solid, and he was eventually released. Another compelling suspect was a traveling minister named Reverend George Kelly. Kelly was an odd and unsettling figure who had attended the Children's Day program on the same night as the Moores. He left town on an early morning train the day the bodies were discovered. Years later, he confessed to the murders, providing details that seemed to match the crime scene. He was put on trial twice. The first trial ended in a hung jury, and the second ended in an acquittal. His confession was ultimately dismissed as the ramblings of a mentally disturbed man seeking attention. Was he the killer, or just a troubled individual caught up in the hysteria? We'll never know for sure. There were other theories, too. Some believed a transient or drifter passing through town was responsible. One man, Henry Lee Morneau, relation to the victims, was convicted of a similar axe murder of his mother and grandmother just a few months after the Villisca crime. He was even a suspect in the Villisca case, but authorities could never definitively link him to it. With no convictions and no clear answers, the case went cold. The people of Villisca were left in a state of perpetual fear and suspicion. Neighbors looked at each other differently. The trust that had once defined their small town was shattered. The horrific, unsolved crime became a dark cloud that hung over Villisca for generations. So, what about the house today? The Villisca Axe Murder House still stands at 508 East 2nd Street. After the murders, it passed through several owners, many of whom reported strange and unsettling experiences. Doors opening and closing on their own. The sounds of children crying, disembodied voices, and objects moving. Eventually, the house was purchased in the 1990s and restored to its 1912 condition. It was then opened to the public for tours and overnight stays for those brave enough to spend a night within its walls. It has since become one of the most famous haunted locations in the United States. Paranormal investigators and thrill seekers from all over the world visit the house, hoping to experience something supernatural. Many visitors have reported hearing whispers, feeling sudden cold spots, and even capturing electronic voice phenomena, or EVPs, that sound like children's voices. Some claim to have seen apparitions or felt the touch of an unseen hand. During overnight stays, guests have reported their own belongings moving, lamps falling, and hearing the distinct sound of footsteps on the stairs when no one is there. Whether these experiences are the result of paranormal activity or simply the power of suggestion in a place with such a dark history is up for debate. But the sheer volume and consistency of these reports are hard to ignore. The house seems to hold on to the energy of that terrible night, a silent witness to a crime that has never been solved. The Villisca Axe Murders remain a haunting piece of American history. It's a story that combines the concrete, chilling facts of a true crime with the eerie, unexplained elements of a ghost story. Who was the killer? Was it a jealous business rival, a deranged minister, a passing drifter, or someone else entirely, someone no one ever suspected? How did they manage to murder 8 people in a small house without waking the neighbors and then vanish without a trace? These questions have echoed for more than a century, turning the Villisca Axe Murders into an American legend. It's a stark reminder that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are real, and sometimes the darkest mysteries are the ones that are never solved. The story serves as a chilling testament to the fact that even in the most peaceful of places, unimaginable darkness can be lurking just beneath the surface. What do you think happened that night in 1912? Do you have a theory about who the killer was? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. It's a case that continues to fascinate and horrify, and I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks so much for watching and for joining me on this journey into one of America's most chilling unsolved cases. If you found this story as compelling as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into mysteries, true crime, and the unexplained. We'll see you in the next video. Stay safe out there.